Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton. Along with me is our rebounding bootless Bethany McChesney. And again, we are not interviewing Mik Gerylo because we don't interview Mik Gerylo. He just comes. He's just here.
I found a way to sneak onto the podcast and you guys still haven't figured it out.
No. So before we get to like blue, which is like the main thing we're going to do, did you guys keep track of the U.S. National Series? Did you follow everything? Were you surprised?
I mean, I just saw highlights. I was gone that day, so it's kind of nice to catch up after a few hours so you can see the few people who have extended stories or whatever. But I mean, I'm excited to watch their kind of highlight after the fact thing a couple days after, but yeah, pretty crazy. Interesting course. You never know, right?
I thought I thought Ryan would win. I didn't think VJ would win, but I mean, he raced a perfect race. He was so smart. From what I see, again, we haven't seen the full and I was out all day, so I didn't even know. I thought maybe I'd get home and it would be done on YouTube, but we haven't seen the whole thing yet. But from what I saw in the stories, he hung back at the beginning, didn't kill himself, didn't wear himself out, slowly it's like he picked his spots. I'm like,
yeah, and I think it looked like he was very strategic and just made his move significantly during bucket carry. And then from there, that was it.
If I was going to try to beat Atkins, bucket carry wouldn't be the spot. I think this is where I'm going to pass him.
No, final mile would not be the spot. I mean, what I'm thinking happened is, obviously, Ryan's not gonna. There was nothing substantial that actually happened. It wasn't like he tripped or fell off something or anything. But I'm assuming what probably happened is what we've all kind of felt in races, or some of us that compete at like really a high level, is sometimes when you've blocked training a certain way and you go into a race like this and you've been racing for over an hour and stuff like that, there's like a point in the race that you have not fully recovered from the aftermath of your last training block, and someone that's extremely peaked for the race or tapered off or something just has that little edge at the very end of a race, and you're all cylinders are firing, but your body just will not totally kind of be able to kind of chase it down. So I think that's probably what happened. Is he probably just was kind of just ran into kind of like his limit, which is not his limit, but at that day. And obviously VJ picked a good spot and was able to create a gap and then just held on to it.
Well, and we do know also that Ryan has been doing a lot more heavy lifting to get ready for Spartan games. So I think his training has changed up a little bit with that in mind. So that could have been it, where maybe he just didn't have the Ryan legs that he usually has in that last mile, and VJ just capitalized on it.
Do you guys think it's possible, and I mean, you guys are obviously a higher end than me, that because it was so near the end, do you think maybe through the beginning portion, Ryan thought, okay, VJ just doesn't have it today, and focused more on the other guys? Who was it? Lars and I can't remember his name. Super fast trail runner guy.
Josiah.
Do you think he became so focused on them and maybe forgot about VJ? Not so much forgot about him, but just thought, okay, it's not VJ's day. He's not running with us. And then all of a sudden VJ appears and Ryan doesn't have the kick at that point.
He could have. You know what? Like, he's a smart racer. He probably knew where VJ was the whole time. But they haven't raced enough and definitely haven't not raced on a mountain race like this season and stuff. So you also got to remember, like, VJ's been living where he has been for a while. And although people give him that, they give him that kind of identity of like this fast, short guy, like, he's doing a lot of mountain running and he's training at altitude and stuff. So he's had over a year to adapt to that kind of stuff as well. So although some people may be surprised, if you didn't have that identity of him before, he may, it may make more sense. I'm just happy they both hit their spear throw and they could really race, right? Like you get to that point where it's like, if one of them misses it, how far did they have to go from there? That would have been unfortunate. So I'm glad they got a race,
And it was a good finish. I mean, what was it, like 4 or 5 seconds, something like that?
Yeah, 7 seconds.
7 seconds.
Okay. Man, they got to change that down climb from the slip wall at the end. It's just like you get so tense watching people race down that thing.
Wasn't it Josiah in Jacksonville that he through there and like crotched himself on the one run?
Yeah, it's bad.
And then obviously Lindsay continued dominance. Just do you maybe if Emma was there or Nicole, do you think one of them could have gave her even a run? I mean, Nicole healthy, obviously.
Yeah, she looked pretty strong. I mean, Ryan and Lindsay have both raced a ton this year. So again, the only thing I think that would kind of take her off of it would be someone extremely peaking for like a course that was in their favor. Although, many courses are in Lindsay's favor in terms of her skill set, obviously. But yeah, I think she, she ran a very strong race. So good for her.
Well, I've decided that Ryan was just saving himself for Blue Mountain. That was what
yeah.
That last
this week he's doing nothing.
Yeah, he's relaxing in this.
I was like,
He's gonna hold back at the Spartan Games too.
He's gonna do a little CrossFit this week, and then just like zone in. Oh god.
We'll talk about it when we talk about our picks and stuff like that. But I think he'll be fine for Blue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how the kind of recovery, and I don't know how they do it. Just It's mind-boggling. But anyway, congrats to Lindsay and VJ, and I was really impressed with VJ for this whole year. He just seems so focused this year and just took that step where he became just this smart racer, and I think it's awesome. It's good to see. So yeah, Blue. So the first thing I'm going to tell you about Blue, and everybody has been asking me this. Don't worry, I worked on pipe layer today, and it is ready.
Okay. You were part of the build crew?
Yeah, I was part of I went out to help the build crew today. I'll be back again tomorrow, and we completed pipe layer so everyone can relax and know that the most difficult Spartan obstacle is there and ready to go.
Perfect.
It's slightly downhill though, so that might help you a little bit with the difficulty of it. I've never seen such an obstacle that costs so much money and requires so much installment and is just so pointless. But oh, whatever. It's there.
It's another obstacle.
So we've all raced at Blue, right? Why don't we start there and just Mick, you go through and just what are your experiences with Blue and what do you think it's like racing there as far as elevation and steepness?
I mean, and you had some good reconnaissance like recently, so that's good too. I haven't been there in a few years. I was there when OCR Worlds was there. Yes, I'm representing. That was my official choosing when I was looking at my shirt drawers. Why not wear this? This was the shirt that I got from completing that race. So, I mean, overall, I think hopefully this becomes one of the annual venues because it really is a great venue for a Spartan race to be at. I'll say that. And in October, I mean, it's also a very nice area due to the other kind of tourism in the area. Like there's places to stay. It's a nice drive out. It's a great mountain. It's not crazy tall or steep, but obviously there's tons of elevation there, but it's not just like a hike up for 2 hours straight, So I think it offers some balance, and it's more like your grassy mountain over let's say a hard rocky mountain. And I'll just leave it there. I'm sure you guys can add to that.
Yeah, Beth, what's your experience with Blue?
My experience with Blue is same race that Mick was at last. That was the last one I was at there too. When I just remember though, when it gets muddy, it's extremely slippery. And I know that there's been a lot of rain there over this past weekend and it's already started to get muddy. Yeah, so and there are steep portions of it. I don't know where the course goes, where if it's muddy, it becomes really treacherous. So that's my experience.
It was slick. It was slick today and on a lot of
Yeah.
spots. Riley was helping mark out some of the trail route and went also some of the ultra route, and the extra lap for the ultra is in a very steep area. Like it's going to cause some interest. One of the interesting things
And
I
there's
had,
an extra carry there, right?
yeah, there's an extra carry there, and it's
Yeah.
and I was like, one of the things that blew me away today though was building the 8-foot wall. Right? How wide do you think an 8-foot wall needs to be for a Spartan race? Give or take.
15 feet.
Yeah, I would say 15, 20 feet.
48 feet wide of 8-foot wall.
What?
Wow.
It's like we're setting up. I'm like, guys, you don't need a wall this wide. Like 16 feet,
especially at that point in the race. But I guess that's just the standard, right?
It's not early on, right? It was just
no.
I'm like, there's no way. It's, so I promise no bottlenecks at the 8-foot wall. It will not. Made
Good.
Sure I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is literally, if I'm not exaggerating, 48 feet wide.
Was it that wide in Red Deer?
I thought it was maybe 16 feet wide in Red Deer.
Yeah, I don't think the forest allowed for that, but yeah, interesting.
Couple things though, I will tell you guys. The Stairway to Sparta is like in the States with the rock climbing holds. In Red Deer, it was not like that, if I remember correctly. And the cargo net climb will have the table tops on it, like you see in the States. So,
why didn't we have that in Red Deer? That was unfortunate, but either way.
From what Johnny said, it's like a shipped up from down south. Anyway, so yeah, everything seems to be as we normally see in the States, except for the tire flip. So
okay, that's good.
Might as well go through the map a bit. You saw the map, Mick. What do you would?
Yeah, I was picking it apart a little bit.
All right.
I know people. I know obviously, like anyone can look at a map now and they release it and you can kind of look at it. But here's a few points just for like, I know people are listening. Might be their first one, might be whatever. And here's some like main points I took off the map that maybe would be good mental things to put in, because when you're racing, it's good to have like mental checkpoints at certain points of the race. I was telling Bethany, so I went on my incline trainer today. You told me the highest incline was about 210 meters.
Yeah.
So I'm a feet guy. So miles and feet, don't ask me why, but that's 688 feet. So I just did a tempo today. I was hiking on my treadmill and I went 30% incline at 3 miles per hour. So that's like, for a beast course, that's like a decent tempo pace. It's kind of like that fast trotting up. It's definitely not hill sprinting. It would be like what maybe a competitive elite racer would tempo up, like a long climb. And so it took me about 9 minutes and 20 seconds to get that elevation in at 30% grade. So just so you know, like if you're looking at the beast course, there's about 6 times they bring you up and down the mountain. So, and they're pretty consistent. Like if you look, there's a couple times, there's obviously a top trail that goes along the top, right? So obviously they bring you up and you run along there. And then the rest of the times they bring you up, it's just below that. So you think of a ski hill where there's like a black diamond bringing you down a little bit, and then there's a quad track that goes across. You're probably running up to that and then back down or something like that. But I mean, if you think about it, there's about 6 up and downs. So that's about 6 times 10-minute climbs. So about an hour straight if you're in good shape of running uphill. So when you hit that first climb, like make sure you mentally manage your effort and say, hey, can I do this pace for an accumulation of over an hour about, right? I mean, that would be a pretty safe mental check on the first uphill, because people are going to get kind of excited, right? They're the type of hills that aren't relentless. You're not seeing, you actually get up there 10 minutes in a race. doesn't seem too long compared to some other big mountain races, but 10 minutes is enough to accumulate a lot in those legs. And then when you top out, you have some good running up there. So you not only want to kind of judge and strategize around that as well. And when you hit the top, if your strength is running, like manage the systems. And then when you hit the top, go. But just kind of think about that. Like, can I do this 6 times? Am I at a pace where I can do this 6 times? You're going to get breaks, which is nice, but I don't think the downhills are going to be much breaks, because that grassy running is either has the ability to open up, or if it's wet, you are constantly like speed checking a little bit because it gets slick and whatever else. And then where you see a place that you can gain some traction, like you got to control yourself a little bit and then continue on, right? So a couple things like that. Looking, like we said, at mile 9 is like the 8-foot wall. So you've already said the 8-foot wall. So everyone's got the 8-foot wall in their head. So I would say when you hit that 8-foot wall, that's when it's kind of the halfway point. It's a little further, but in terms of like obstacles and everything, you've got 1 climb to go. So when you hit that 8-foot wall, it's time to like sell out, you know? If you're feeling good, sell out. If you're not, maintain. And then, I mean, we got to talk about the spear throw being early, because that mentally, like, it's different for racers, right? You're running the whole race, you're running a good race, but you have the spear throw in the back of your mind. Usually the spear throw has been at the end many times in a Spartan Canada race. But the last time we were out in Ottawa, the balanced super course had the spear throw within the first 2 miles. And it changed the game, because guys are coming in, they're still close together. You're grabbing a spear with 5 other people around, 10 more people coming behind you, you know, nothing's spaced out yet. So don't get caught up in listening to other people hit or miss the spear. Then you know, you put pressure on yourself to make it because someone missed, or you put pressure on yourself to make it because someone's running out and they made it. So kind of have a strategy for the spear, I would say, because it's within the first 1.5 miles, I think.
Yeah. I think it's on after the first descent. So
right after a descent. Yeah.
If you guys, another thing. So when you guys are competing at the high end, if you that early in the race, if you miss the spear, is the mindset become shit, I've screwed up already, or is it I have time to make up from this?
On this kind of race, for sure. I think knowing the beast and knowing a mountain race, you have no idea what other people's skill sets are. And like I said, people can look good in a race like this for about 1.5 hours. And then all of a sudden you just start picking people off. So if you miss the spear, like, put in your work and just know, like, it's totally not over. It's almost, you know, there's a few other opportunities, especially if it's wet, that people could fail. So I don't know, Bethany, did you race in Ontario that one year where it had the early spear?
Did you say in Ottawa?
Yeah. Where was it? Ottawa Super.
I didn't race in Ottawa, but I know at the Toronto Spartan 2 years ago, the spear throw was like in the very first gauntlet of obstacles. And I did miss my spear throw in the sprint. And but even then in just the sprint, I was basically then just chasing, and I still managed to catch her in the last few hundred, but then I still in my mind thought, but so the spear throw though, and this is also part of it, is the penalty has often now been a run penalty. Right. And that changes it a lot too. So if it's not burpees and you're running, there's definitely more of a chance to be able to catch up. And with this long of a race, I wouldn't consider that you're out that early, especially in the beast again, because you like this up and down too with these races like this. And I think people also don't realize how much it trashes your quads when you're going down. And then this course map looks like you're going down, up, right back up. And that turnaround going down and then back up, that's where that cramping starts. And because a lot of Canadians too that haven't raced this season. Like some of these guys on this list here too haven't raced yet, and their body just might not be prepared for that depending on what they've been doing. So there's a lot that's going to happen in that second part of the race. So I would never count a spear throw miss out of the race that early.
Totally agree. It's going to be interesting. It was, I know a few people that missed and they were able to, it's a different type of race, right? When you're playing catch up, but sometimes honestly, some people actually step up in those situations. Like they figure out a way to actually race harder like that. And mentally they actually run a better race. So we'll see. And if you do miss, like, know that that's just the start and don't let it affect the rest of your race. If you're already, whether you're just competing in open or age group or anything, it's kind of like if you miss it, if you let that one miss, kind of say like, I'm not having a good race already, it's gonna mentally kind of skew the rest of your confidence. So just kind of move on and know that a lot of people, I find if it's at the start of the race, more people miss it.
I think if you miss, you pull a Sean Roberts, you walk off the course and you head to the village and Putin. It's a solid plan. And
you also just get really drunk the day before, right?
Yes, exactly. During, before, all of that, right? Whatever it takes. As long as everybody wears themselves out on Saturday, and that way I'm good for Sunday.
Right.
Yeah. So one of the things you'll notice about the map is, and we went through this with Johnny, no water obstacles whatsoever. The only water will be rain or slipless, anything like that. So yeah, no rolling mud.
What? Why wasn't that right? I am going to substantially interact with whatever water I see next. Don't worry. You just wait. What was the wording? Yeah.
Significant engagement. Yes.
Significant engagement.
Right. I remember at OCR Worlds, obviously they didn't have like the water either. And there's a little fountain, like a rock fountain at the bottom. And they actually made us go into the little fountain and climb up it just to get your feet wet or whatever. I bet Blue Mountain was like, hey, not again. We don't want thousands of people trekking through our little.
I remember that course map, and I remember looking at it going rock wall, and I was thinking in my head, like, we're gonna make sure I can climb. Got to climb a rock wall, and then I got there.
Yeah. Hey, and whatever gets them 100 obstacles, right?
Oh yeah. So anything else jump out at you about the map? Like, I mean, it is a lot of elevation. It's a lot of up and down.
I would say just know which obstacles are before which climbs, and then know when you're on, like, Olympus is right after you come down and you have one climb to go. So after Olympus, you just mentally check like, hey, I'm at mile 11, I got 2 miles to go, and this is the final climb. So whatever I got left in my climbing legs, like, this is it. I don't want to get to the top and have some left, and that climb, honestly, like, that's going to be a place where people are going to get past and stuff, because they've kind of gone up and down 5 times. And it's mentally knowing that, like, you could catch someone too, like, people are going to be hurting. So if you're feeling good, like, use that last climb.
I think you might see like a record number of fails on Olympus, because people are coming, like you said, that's going to be a fast section. Either they're going to be fast, or it's going to be slippery, or it's going to be a mess descending down to that. And then you're going to be right on it. And we all know that's way more slippery than it used to be. And it could be a cool, wet day. I just think there's going to be a ton of failures on that. And I believe it is burpee penalty for that. I didn't see any penalty loops laid out. So I'm not saying for sure they won't be, but I have yet to see any laid out like that. So yeah, I think that will cause a bit of chaos. Not as much as the 48-foot long 8-foot wall, but still quite a bit.
Honestly, you try jumping after running downhill for 6,000 feet. It's going to be it's gonna take its toll. Even jumping and stuff, that's when people you go for that one jump and your calf seizes up a time. Like, it lets you know that it wants to cramp. It kind of just like peeks its head in the door, but it doesn't fully cramp. And then you're like running scared and being careful on the next things you do. But yeah.
The other thing I noticed, it might not be, it might probably won't be a big deal for a lot of the elites and stuff, but maybe some of the open waivers or some of the back age groupers, the rope climb, the ropes are very thin.
Yeah.
And they don't go all the way to the ground. So you got to get your legs up pretty good to start them. And I know that can sometimes catch people off. So
the rope climb is in one of the obstacle gauntlets, correct?
Yeah, right at the top.
It's where there's like 4, it's right at the end.
No, at the top. I think it's
at the top. So it's one of the first gauntlets. It's not like the final gauntlet, but it's what does it go? It goes bucket carry, vertical cargo, Z-wall, rope climb, atlas carry, stuff like that, all in a row. And it is all right there. So again, another thing, I mean, we saw it in Red Deer, even that was right by the festival area, right? You're a kilometer in, you're still not feeling the aftermath of everything, but I'm sure there'll be people at the top too, because they have that gondola, and people are going to see the start and then go up to the gondola and see the second part. And you can get caught up with people cheering and you're still early in the race and you're hitting obstacles, you're feeling good, but then you start descending and you're like, holy, I used a lot of my kind of my storages and I still have, how many miles left to go, right? So just be careful on that gauntlet for sure.
So Beth, for you, if you were going into this race, if you were racing, what would concern you more, the climb or the descent?
Oh, for me, it's always the descents. Yeah, I love climbing. Like the ups is not an issue at all, but I just find downhill running so hard to train, especially where I live. And even trying to simulate that eccentric loading on the quads in the gym is just so tricky. So that's kind of for me where I'm always a little bit nervous about when I turn back around to go uphill, what's going to have happened to my quads. So for me, it's always the downhill. I don't get nervous at all about the uphills.
And like I say, with it being so much more slippery, that will be, I agree. I like even going into it just for my race, I'm like, the climb is going to be what it is. You're going to plug your way through it. You're going to go at your pace. You're going to do what you do. But downhill is just downright sketchy. At least it's not, like jagged rocks everywhere. If you can let yourself go, I find a little less scary, but it's the slippery that I find scary.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we jump to who's in and who's out and who's going? So I'll go with some of the ones that are out. So there's Bethany McChesney is out. Mik Gerylo is out. What the fuck?
Yeah, what are we doing
on the show that was actually going?
You got the scraps.
But how are both your injuries progressing anyway? Let's just do that for a sec. Beth, I saw your videos. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm still at a 0 pain right now. So, and we've been testing it for 2 weeks now since I've been out of the boot. So I get to start running tomorrow.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yes.
So 2022 is the year of crush the bitches.
Yeah, no more injuries.
Yeah.
And what about you, Mik?
I'm I ended up having an avulsion fracture on my talus bone from that random roll right after Red Deer. So I've been off running for a while, but I ran twice this weekend and all good. And re-extending my long run has been kind of painful, but I'm just happy to be running and lifting, and it's good. So I wouldn't have been in any kind of beast fitness to do really well on this course leading into this, but things are getting better. So it's all good.
And you did that on the cool down run with Sean, right?
Oh yeah, I was almost walking, like it was that slow, and we were just kind of chatting to someone and changing direction and went over the edge of some kind of part of the trail. And when your systems are all down, your nervous system's a little fried, and when you hit a roll like that, because your turnover is not very fast, you really go over it and it just popped. So yeah, I've never had a roll that bad.
I suspect that Sean set you up. I think it was a trap.
Yeah, I would have loved to race the next day. Are you kidding me? Especially after that DQ, I was like, at least I would have liked to redeem myself a few times. But
No.
yeah,
Sean figured, he was really quick today, and I can't have that. So I got this elaborate plan where I can set him up, get this ankle roll. I'll distract him. Evil mastermind. Fantastic.
he definitely seems like that type of guy.
He comes off as pretty mean,
He's like the meanest guy I know, for sure.
All right. Other people not going, obviously. Morgan is still pregnant, so not going.
It's 9 months, Dave. 9 months. She's still pregnant.
If you're really fit, you should be able to do it faster. It's only logical.
Valid. She's gone.
Christian Vaclavic, he's not going either. No Emma. Emma Cook-Clark is not going. I think she's with work, and she's getting really focused, I think, for Dubai. I think that's a big thing for her. Amanda won't be going either. Amanda Nadeau. So those are the big names that I have not going.
Wow. Those are some of the top women, really. It's unfortunate they're not there, because that would have been exciting to have everyone there, right?
It would. Yeah. I mean, and hopefully 2022 will be a little more. I know everybody's still a little crazy this year, and it's still, you get what you get. But and then for the men, like I said, Mik and Christian would be the big ones. But for the women going, we'll start with the women. We have Ariel is going, Sylvie, Lindsay, Stephanie Graham, Margaret Jensen, who did so well out in Red Deer, and Sarah Kais, which is she's come on the scene with a bit of a storm. So when we start there, and Beth, how you feel about some of the women going there?
I am super excited to see Sarah race. So I know when we were in Red Deer, Aaron was really talking her up, and he said to me, as soon as my girlfriend gets into OCR, you guys better all watch out. But then she did race recently and she won. So she definitely backed up his words. So I'm super excited. What's that?
Beat Faye Stenning too.
Yeah. So I'm really
she's a pretty accomplished mountain runner too, and obviously she trains in a really good place, like for this type of terrain and racing. So and like you said, she's raced, so it's not like one of those phenom athletes from like the running background but have no experiences on obstacles. And I'm sure Aaron's taught her a thing or two as well, so I think she'll be pretty deadly.
I'm looking forward to seeing her too. I think, like you said, she's been well prepared. She's seen it. She's been rabbiting a couple times for ORM. She knows her stuff. She went out and won her first race. Lindsay has said that Sarah is going to be someone who can really break onto the scene. But the question is, can Sarah be quick enough to keep up with Lindsay, considering Lindsay's got to be a little wore down by the time she gets there?
Yeah, I think this weekend, just considering Lindsay's week leading up to it, I think Sarah will have the advantage for sure. Like, Lindsay had raced this past weekend, and now she's going to spend the whole week at Spartan Games, and we don't really know what they're throwing at them, but she's not coming into the weekend fresh. So I just think Sarah definitely has the advantage.
And then what about somebody like Sylvie, who we haven't seen all year?
Well, I mean, I know enough about Sylvie that she started, building a retreat, like a fitness background retreat. So she's been working hard on that and everything. Obviously, Spartan racing and fitness Spartan racing has not been her focus. But she's always fit, and she's always someone that comes into a race saying, I haven't really been working on my running and haven't been lifting too much, and still manages to do really well. So I think she'll be up there. I'm not sure if this type of mountain course suits her skill set right now, but I mean, she's been putting on time on her feet. So
she did just roll her ankle really bad today, though.
Oh, okay.
Running with Sean Stevens Whale. Guy.
Yeah. he has this
I was just talking with her today, and she had a pretty bad ankle roll today. So
that's tough, especially on a course like this. You don't want to test it, especially on the downhills and stuff.
Yeah,
that's tough.
What about like the I call it the points leader, Ariel? How does this course suit her? Is this a good course for her?
Yeah, Ariel's, I think the longer the better for Ariel.
Yeah, and she's like light, and she trains in the mountains a lot. So I think she runs hills very well, and now she has a bit more experience of obstacles under her belt and coming in with some more confidence. So I think she'll definitely be shooting for it.
And she's race ready. Like, she's been racing all year. She's primed. She's prepped. I think she's taking this one very seriously too. So I think Ariel will do really well. And just one more quick one, Margaret Jensen. Obviously, like, I saw her at Red Deer. She did well. I don't know a lot about her aside from how she did out there. Is this the kind of course that's for her, or is she more of a flatlander?
Well, she'll do better in a beast for sure. But she did Sinister 7 this year. She's done like full track, like triathlon and stuff like that. So she's been putting in a lot of good volume. And I mean, they have a group out west that go on mountain adventures, most weekends. So she's put in some good training for sure. So I think she'll be able to extend her fitness for a whole beast course. She may not have that like pure speed, like uphill speed and stuff, but she's going to be strong up there. This is a better course for her for sure than Red Deer.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll go to picks after, and we'll just run down some of the men. We'll go through some of the men that are going to be there. Who jumps out at you? Well, obviously, I'm going to say, Ryan Atkins is going to be there. I'm still shocked and still stunned that it's that all on their calendar. I think it must just be a sentimental, hometown kind of thing, because I can't see any other reason why they would be putting themselves through that.
Yeah, they must be going back to like maybe Keldon to train for a while after this anyway, so they may as well stop in. I'll tell you, like, when I raced Atkins in Calgary, he came out to the Calgary Sprint just randomly a few years ago, and he was coming off like FKT up Ha Ling, which is one of the hardest uphill mountain FKTs to snag. Like, it's very competitive, and he just came off of doing like Canmore Quad, which is like an insane day, and he was under tired legs, and he still found a way to kind of battle it out and win that thing. So I don't think you can ever count him out.
No. Again, another guy for the first time we're going to see this year, Jesse Bruce. So I mean, Beth, we haven't seen him in a race, but he's fit. He's been busy.
Yeah, he's been very focused on triathlon. I know he was trying to qualify for the Ironman World Championships in his age group, so he's been hyper focused on triathlon.
Do you think that'll help him or hinder him?
I don't know. Obviously, he's really fit. I think the mountain in this race will just probably not lend well to what he's been working on. But I mean, riding legs is good, mountain running legs too. So I don't know. It'll probably be more about the obstacles than with his situation.
Jesse's always been pretty solid on obstacles, though. I don't think
he's strong. Yeah,
too much. And I mean, other than Olympus, Spartan's obstacles are still very manageable.
He'll be fine on them. I think, like, overall, like you said, he's super fit. His engine is there, and Jesse also knows how to prepare for certain races. He's been there, done that on every type of venue. So even if Jesse just put in, 2 weeks of like somewhat more specific training, he knows how to do that, right? So we know he's doing that. He's he'll put a little more time into kind of obstacle work and hill work and stuff like that leading into this. So plus he knows the race, he knows the course very well, and he's close to home. He's not coming off of a long travel or anything like that, and that helps too. I think if Jesse, somehow he has this mantra, Jesse's been through a lot in his life and everything, and I think if Jesse sees you on the mountain, he's willing to hurt as much as he can to like, you cannot outwork him if he's in the pain cave, he'll work through that. So I think he'll battle regardless, right?
Yeah. I think
I'm excited.
I think you hit the nail on the head with he excels in that pain cave. It works for him. He's got that little terrier mentality and just goes and goes and goes and goes.
Oh yeah. And he power hikes very well. People don't realize this about him, but as much as like he is in Toronto and stuff like that, he's always a very strong carry guy, and his power hiking is fast. And although he can run the mountains too, like, when you get into those stages where it's a little too steep and everyone's got a power hike, his power hike doesn't actually slow down comparatively, right? So I think he'll definitely be in the mix.
So one guy I wanted to ask you about, actually for you, Mik, because I don't think you know him very well, Beth. So we ran into him again out in Red Deer, Chris Swanson. He had a broken arm. Clearly he wasn't so good on the obstacles that day.
I mean, he was leading after the first kilometer.
That's right.
Amazing runner.
So he's got speed. So that's what I mean. What do we know about Chris? Because now, I mean, he's going to be able to do the obstacles.
It was his finger. It wasn't like,
okay.
So he somewhat was still able to train a bit. I don't know how much specific OCR work he really does, although he puts in time. He shows up and he moves decently through obstacles. They're not his best thing, but he's obviously going to be hitting fitness from mountain running championships, which were the week before Red Deer, and then hopefully got his cast off. He's a really strong runner. He'll go hard and then see what happens. It's scary if he's still in the mix after half the race, because he'll be able to run this whole mountain, I raced him in Vancouver like a while on Mount Seymour, and I mean, he was right with us on every climb. Like, you got to put Sean Stevens Wales in a different category for uphill running, but Chris is always right behind him, so he'll have the tools to do well here, as long as he's not second guessing, or I don't know where his thumb, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I would think again, it's been a while now. He should be healed up and good to go.
Yeah.
One other quick guy to mention. Well, there's quite a few other, but the guy known as the other guy, Brennan Neely. Seriously, I just teased him, but he was really impressive out in Red Deer. And
he's been working on his mud pit. So
he's been working on his mud pit. He has a little plastic pool. He's not afraid.
The little kiddie pool thing is so good. It was the best. 2 feet in, 2 feet out. Yeah.
He looks legit. Like, he seems like he's really into it. He's fairly new to the sport, but he's got the wheels.
Listen, he has a great running background, and not just like road running. He does a lot of terrain running. And he obviously has some good range, and he puts time in the mountains. So I think, and you know what, he has that strong upper body base as well. So I think with experience, whether he accidentally strategizes this course well, or just now has enough experience, eventually he's going to pop like a solid race. And I mean, he has ran good races already, but soon he's going to be kind of not making those mistakes that kind of make him have to play a bit of catch up. So I'm excited to see him race for sure. Well, and build a bit of a chip on his shoulder too. So
yeah, two important things too is, one, he put in a great beer mile recently, and that obviously directly translates. But this is a hometown race for him. He's only lives about 35 minutes from Blue. So right. I'm sure he's familiar with the hill, and quite good. It could really play to his advantage. So expect good things from Brennan. Beth, you asked about Damien Langwa. Mm-hmm. So do you know Damien?
I do know Damien, and I actually know that he's doing the ultra. So he's not doing the Canadian series, but Austin's been training with him out there, and he says he's really fit right now. So he's coming out for the ultra. I mean, Damien's one of the most experienced Canadian racers. He was in it in like 2011. He was like one of the original kind of Eastern community that went to all the races. And they have more than just Spartan races out there. So he has tons of experience and he's super fit right now and he loves it. So I think he'll do really well. And you can recognize him on the course.
Oh yeah, you can't miss him. You cannot miss him.
Yeah.
I've had a chance to run like side by side with him for a very, very short period of time, and he does. He runs like a gazelle. He is just so smooth and so fluid. I wish he was running the beast because I would like to see him throw down with these guys because I think he's fantastic. Just awesome runner. All right, well, we might as well go to it. Let's get into it to some picks here. All right. So, yeah, Mick, let's start with you. All right. What do you want to do first? Do you want to do the women or the men?
I'll do. I gotta call a friend right now. Do we know if like Jess Lemon is coming, or we didn't say if she was in or out?
I believe she's not coming.
Okay, just in case, because I was like, I didn't see her on the out thing or in. Okay, so I am going to say. I'm going to say Lindsay, Sarah, Margaret. Top three.
Ooh, nice. Very good. All right.
I expect a couple fails and a kind of a cool weather day. We'll see. Things might get changed up. So.
All right, Beth. Go put your women down.
So I have Sarah first. And then Lindsay second and Ariel third.
Wow. Do you know
I think I keep missing Ariel because she's the top of that list.
It's just an obvious one. It's way too obvious. I as well was going to pick Sarah for first because, again, that tank has to run dry eventually. You know, like, They have to burn out eventually. Eventually, there's got to be only so much you can push. And Sarah might be camping out at my place, so I have to pick her because I don't want to face her if I didn't. So that's just important. And then Lindsay for second, and I got Ariel for third too. So Beth,
I had to make a different change so we weren't totally in agreement.
What's that? Yeah. Well, you know what? I could change. I'll take. Who would take? No, I'm not. I'm sticking with it. Forget
it. Good choices.
Yeah, they are, and I mean, the women's field is getting better, but it still needs to grow. And
if everyone shows up, it's solid, right? And a couple injuries and a couple pregnancies and whatever this year. But if everyone on kind of that list, you have like a top 10 that is interesting, so it'd be exciting. It'll get there.
All right, and then for the men. All right, for your men, Mick. Or you know what? I will go in reverse. I can go first this time because and I'm still gonna go with Ryan because he's Ryan. I don't know, even though he'll be exhausted and tired. I just think he's gonna get it. And then Sean Stevens Whale. Despite the fact he might try to injure people in the way. But other than that. And then, I'm going to go with Brennan Neely because he lives really close to me. And I think, he might have a shot. He really might have a shot.
I don't think that's a bad pick at all.
Yeah. He's fit and he knows the territory. He's on that mountain. And so that's it. I'm not great at these picking though. So I feel bad for him because that's not good. All right, Beth.
Yeah.
I as well still put Ryan first. I think he'll still be able to pull this one out. I put Aaron Newell second, and I'm going to put Jesse Bruce in third.
Nice. See, we hadn't even talked about Aaron yet.
And did we not talk about Sam and Austin? And are we forgetting? Is Sam coming?
Is Sam going?
Sam is going. Yes, and Austin is going. Were they not on my list? Sam and Austin are both going. I'm still
put Sam down.
No, okay. Sam is going. Yeah, and normally I pick Sam, and every time I do, he screws up. So I'm doing a favor to Sam by not picking him. So now he's going to do well.
Listen, I think Sam's going to do well. I really do.
Okay. Is there
there
any
you
chance
go.
Ben is going?
Benjamin Morin Boucher, he is not.
Okay.
Austin tried to convince him. People don't realize this about Benjamin. Like, he had 35 first place Spartans before he lost. Like, he was actually so dominant out east at the start of kind of Spartan's birth in Canada. And he holds like the military obstacle record for he's in the military, and he holds the record for the course. He's, you know, even just his training ground is insane. So I've seen him really do very well on kind of the super and sprint distances, but I'm excited to see when he comes back. It's unfortunate he's not coming.
And you know what? We didn't mention either. Marco Badard not going either. He's about to become a dad very soon. So, you know, bad priority choice, but it's his to make.
Okay. So you said you're 3, Bethany?
Yeah.
So who was it? You had
man.
Ryan, Aaron, and
Jesse.
We should be doing top 5 for this.
Sure. Go. For
I
it.
know. I have a bunch of stuff scribbled out back in a minute. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, I'll add on my 4th. I'd pick Aaron for 4th, and then Austin for 5th.
Okay.
And again,
I think
I would consider Sam, but I'm not doing that to him.
that's a very political answer.
Pick Sam all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this year was going to be a great year for Sam. I think, like, leading into last season, he was ready to go in terms of like winning races, and he was so close so many times. And like you said, he had a few little things happen every once in a while, but I've seen him on course. He's scary fit. So
I still say if Spartan Cross becomes a thing, Sam is going to be.
Oh yeah.
Beast.
Oh yeah.
Like, he will be.
All right. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm although I'm trying to rush it, I still don't have my picks. All right, let me make my picks, but I don't have them. I'm gonna say Sean, Atkins, and Azar.
Whoa.
That's what I'm gonna say. You better watch out for these grassy downhills. I'm telling you, like, I haven't seen where the carries are and stuff, but I have faith in Austin.
So I do know the one carry. That's the first carry. It'll be coming up to the vertical cargo net, and the only thing I can tell you for sure about it is like an absolute beautiful view. So if you get right to the top and you set the bucket down, take a quick look, because it looks really nice. But it's also a steep section.
Yeah. No, I think there's going to be some close battles on the final climb, and I think things are coming around for Austin. And I've seen Sean outright win beasts just with his climbing alone. So I can't count him. I definitely can't count him out. And I mean, he can win the series, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of has that, you know, he has that motivation. And obviously Ryan, even crippled and beat up, is still right there. But
80% of Ryan is still better than most.
Yeah, 60% of Ryan is still better than most. Yeah. So those are my picks, and if I had to say, then I'd say for sure Aaron will be up there, and then I think Brendan's going to be in the mix, and Sam, and Jesse, and it'll be a fun race to watch. Yeah, and Chris. Jeez.
It actually looks like a really good field.
It is. I'm so disappointed I can't be there. I'm like, just to be when guys from out west and east come together, you know, I'm always kind of from the middle, going to visit everyone out east or going to visit everyone out west. But when everyone's kind of coming together, it's pretty rare. So it's good. Be exciting.
We said this from the time they announced that they were going to go to Blue, that this would be a very, very big event. And it does look like it's shaping up. But I think it's still next year, which they are planning to go back, to the best of my knowledge, will be even bigger, because I think you'll see more people make the migration from the States and come up as well. And you will see, you know, some other guys that I think this weekend will be a great race, and it'll bring out even more.
Yeah, agreed.
And especially if we can get some of those women to come out, if we can get, Emma to come out and Jessica, and then some women from the States and stuff. I was surprised that only Aaron and Sarah, from my knowledge, are the ones making the trip, especially after Aaron had such great results in Red Deer and no issues. And,
Yeah. I think just the US schedule has just kind of, people need that month off before their final race, after like just a constant pressure of race after race, and especially those guys that did Telluride and whatever else. So but yeah, hopefully Aaron just doesn't keep, I like having Aaron. He actually, his question when I put that thing on Instagram, asked me questions like, can I be Canadian? I said, you bet you can be Canadian.
Should we get him on some skates, get him a stick, see if he can play?
Oh, you know what? He has a background in a lot of random sports that he was really good at. I wouldn't be surprised if he randomly was like decent at skating.
All right. Well, we're gonna bring him some skates. We'll see if he can.
Maybe not hockey, but yeah.
See if he can drop the gloves. Little Donnybrook. Do you think this one is like, this race will be a good launching platform? Like, going into 2022 is going to be hopefully a banner year for Spartan Canada, the year that 2021 was supposed to be. Do you expect much changes from what the initial 2021 calendar is? Do you think they'll go with it? They've already teased there's going to be two trifecta weekends and stuff like that.
Like one on each side of Canada, probably, right?
Yeah.
I think that's always their goal.
Yeah, and I mean, they put out a contest where if you could guess both of them, you went into a contest to win a season's pass.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's, for this year, would have been 2 races, so that's big.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's more.
I think for sure they have to go up to Quebec. Yes. They have to have those races up there because they have such a big community there. Hopefully Blue Mountain becomes that iconic annual one that everyone that forgot that these races were happening at least hears about it. It's like, oh yeah, I wanted to do that, and then I kind of forgot they were happening. I didn't know if this was happening or not. And then next year I'm sure they have decent numbers for it.
The only
all
thing
things considered,
I wish they could do is, I actually wish they could move the time of year they're doing Blue Mountain, because it is in such, like, this is what, championship season when everything is going on. And I think that if they could move it to earlier in the year, maybe at a little bit of a duller spot, that it would definitely increase the people that would go. And quite frankly, Blue gets really cold and wet and yucky, and a little earlier in the summer might be nice,
I mean, why don't we make it May long, where it's not a race that has water or whatever, so the water's not freezing or anything, but it's usually decent weather already, and the ski hill potentially may have a tiny bit of snow at the top, but really, like, nothing's overgrown yet. I mean, I hope they have Kicking Horse back, because that's just going to be a true test. It's going to be a really tough mountain, but also offers a crazy amount of terrain for the race to happen on. So and then Winnipeg, why not Winnipeg?
Because nobody wants to go to Winnipeg.
Listen, I will room everyone can stay with me. I owe everyone for allowing me to bunk with them at like all the races. You come to Winnipeg race, I'll have every racer just staying at my place.
Too many mosquitoes, and we're all too afraid of Winnipeg. It's just never gonna happen.
There you go.
Actually, I wish they would go to someplace.
We had a course there 2 years. People don't know that.
I would love to.
But they did
the East Coast to hit like Nova Scotia out there.
That would be cool. They've been asking for that for a while. I think next year again they're gonna just try to release what maybe the original plan was, get that off the ground, and then start building off of that. So people were excited for that schedule, but like you said, maybe things like Red Deer was supposed to be earlier, right? Red Deer is usually end of June, isn't it? Or early July. It's like really, and then they usually have their trifecta weekend end of August out west. And so yeah, hopefully they'll release it. I'm sure they have a decent idea about which venues they're using and stuff. So
I think you're right. I think it'll be very similar to the original 2021 release. I think you'll see Golden back in there and things like that. It should be good. It has potential to be a really exciting season.
It does, yeah. Even this season with these 2 races, it's pretty exciting. And it's nice they have a decent amount of people on the team now that you think can help gain it. And even you guys doing some coverage and stuff, and then having Fidel doing the gimbaling and stuff, and then Johnny, like I think the team is really good with the limited team size. They have a great team. So I think people should be excited about it. And I think this race, I still think they should release make another exciting promo video of just like good things from Blue Mountain and Canadian stuff. And they could do a little bit better job of like leveraging that, but obviously they just don't have the budget for it.
You know what's funny is I hear a lot of how difficult it can be sometimes deal with Spartan in the States, and I've seen a bit of that and understand it. Spartan Canada is super easy to deal with and really pleasant and really helpful, and I'm really lucky that way.
Yeah, and even if things are out of their control, they usually try to explain it so we understand, so we know they're not just trying to not have a race there or not tell you, or you know what I mean? Like it's good. They're pretty real about it.
Well, and like Johnny said, like simple explanations of some things that you often get questions about, like why we're not having like the start and finish right in the village this time, right? And it's because Blue Mountain doesn't want that right now. We're still coming off COVID. They don't want every giant congregation in there. So I mean, it puts a logical answer to a question that a lot of people would be like, well, why didn't we do that? This is just stupid, right? So we just preemptive
they're trying,
and I like that. So it's good to see. So moving into it, anything else that you want to go through, something that you look forward to, or something that just gets your attention?
Let's ask like Bethany, what's your like 2-minute kind of summarization of like what your strategy should be going into it as like a generally fit person, like someone maybe not elites, like someone that's doing this race that's like, this may be my first race, or it's my first race back in like 2-3 years. Like, what's the strategy for this course in terms of like, I'm fit, I put in a lot of time, I'm not trying to win the thing, but maybe I'm competing age group or something. Like, what's your strategy for the course?
Kind of what I've talked to my clients too about, who I have a lot of people that are racing for the first time on Sunday in the sprint. I've just told them not to get excited at the beginning, because you can really underestimate what that first climb takes out of you. And it looks like all the races kind of go bottom to top right off the hop. And just to not go out crazy on that first climb and destroy your legs. So a lot of people are not training on mountains, and I just don't know if people always can understand what that can take out of you. So just to be patient with the race, and again, and to conserve your energy throughout the whole thing, because it's going to be longer, I think, than people anticipate, just because of the climbing.
What are you guys thinking for time-wise in terms of like top times?
On the Beast?
Yeah.
Oof.
I'm thinking like 207.
I was thinking just over 2.
I don't know. This has so much climbing. I think it's going to be longer than that.
I think the weather will dictate a lot. Like if it right, like today it rained a little bit early and then dried out. It's supposed to be dry tomorrow. If that maintains, the speed will go up, and we'll get better times. But if it,
the good thing is
Friday night, then all of a sudden it's a slog.
Yeah. The thing is there's no water obstacles, so you don't have to anticipate what you're wearing based on what gets wet and what's hard to race in wet. It's almost like, what would you go on like a cold trail run with, and that's comfortable? Or what would you do like a simulation without water? But we also probably won't have people falling apart because of the heat, and I think the heat gets people in a beast more often than like the cold, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes what I find is when it's cold, people underhydrate, because they're not necessarily feeling it, and it's not necessarily like a feeling as you're racing. So keep hydrating. There's going to be lots of water stations, and you may be coming up to it. And I would say just take water at each station. If you're trying to like race it well, you know, that extra 2 seconds could help you not fall apart for an hour, you know? So overhydrate a little bit, and just remember, it's like when you're swimming, you don't think to like drink water as much. And then have a fueling strategy too, and understand that it's probably easier and easier in your digestive tract to like take fuel while you're hiking up. Less bounce, less whatever, more control. You're not having to like look down at your footing as much. So stuff like that, where you just kind of have a strategy and just know, I would say per time frame, like kind of make a plan for your fuel and keep track of this kind of time frame, because you don't want to fall into a deficit halfway through the race and then try and catch yourself up. So
all right, I've got one for you guys. So and no,
Dave, what are your strategies?
I know, but Bethany's looking at me like I'm gonna ask something stupid. I've got a good question. This is real, Bethany. I'm not screwing around. Yeah, so I am racing in the age group sprint, right? So that's two questions for me. One, I'll start with this. It's my start time is noon, right? And the last time I had a later start time, I completely screwed up because I didn't eat right. So how do I fuel for that? Do I eat like a regular breakfast?
So I kind of have a general rule. Okay, well, it depends a lot actually. So a sprint, like I wouldn't be eating, okay, so 12, 10, 6. So I'd probably eat at 6 and 10. But like bigger at 6, and then something, you know, that's going to be fine at 10.
All right, that's actually what I was planning with. I would have my regular breakfast in the morning, and then like a power muffin around 10 o'clock or 10:30 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And then for the sprint,
and really, Dave, you should have the fuel in you for a sprint. You don't have to think about fueling too much. Just make sure you eat well the couple days before.
It's more for Dave that he eats, actually.
Yeah, but I ate it all.
Oh no,
that's what happened to me in the last one to RX1. I didn't eat it all that day, and then I didn't race until it was like 2:30 in the afternoon, and I was killing it until about 60% of the way from the race at the end of the race, and or 60% through the race, and I just crashed. It was epic crash.
Why don't you just race with a backpack full of like every option
5K
and mustard packs and everything, and then just be at the start line, make everyone second guess why this guy looks like he knows what he's doing.
And we're like all cotton and
overnight camping trip. Yeah,
all cotton, and it'll be good. I'll be ready to go. And then the other thing, because so strategy wise, it's although it's climbing and descending, it's still a short, quick race. So how do you go out for this? Because you're
2 climbs, right?
Yeah, 2 climbs, pretty much 2 descents, and I mean obstacles, but who cares? But like, so how do do you go out quick? Because normally I'm a guy that goes out quick and tries to hold on because I don't want to lose the lead pack and avoid bottlenecks and stuff like that. But it's a little different when it's such a steep hill to start.
I think on a sprint, especially with 2 climbs, you do the first climb hard, you hit the first downhill hard, you get some gap. And I guarantee you, whether you burnt a little too much or whatever else, no one's going to be able to, the amount of energy it's going to take to catch up to you on the second climb, they're going to be so dead for the final obstacle gauntlet that it's going to be too late, and they'll waste all their energy trying to catch up on that. If you're ahead after the downhill, then you've already basically exposed both skill sets, and you know who's good at what. And if they weren't right behind you on that first climb, even if you were pushing yourself to a good limit on the second one, for them to try and make up 30 seconds on like an uphill climb, they're going to literally have to like hill bound up it.
Yeah.
And they're not going to have any legs at the end of that. So, and then, you'll see the carnage at the final gauntlet too, which you're good at. So I would say push people to get out of their comfort zone on the second climb.
My ultimate
Do your
plan
thing.
was right from the start was just let everybody else run the beast and ultra and be really tired for the sprint and fresh. So that was the real plan. And
I
it's
mean, yeah, and then just go on cool down jogs with them after the race. And
I'm going to talk
All
to
their
Sean
ankles.
and ask him for some ankle breaking techniques. And I'm going to ask Aaron how to throw a bucket, and then I've got it all figured.
right,
And it's
there should be zones where there's just spray paint on the ground, red lines, and in between the two red lines, like a gap of like 20 meters, you're allowed full contact.
nice.
Anything can happen. And so you
I'm
take the
okay with
chance to
that. I'm all right
like
with that.
join the zone with certain racers and then run away from them.
I think this is a solid technique, and I think you should mention it to Joe DeSena because that sounds like the kind of thing he'd like.
I mean, they just incorporated Spartan wrestling. Why am I trying to actually, this would not work to my favor. I don't care how strong I am, I don't weigh that much, so people just toss me around.
I might step up to elite if they bring these rules in, Mick. I might be right
Dave,
up.
you still have to get to the zone before us to battle us.
Yeah.
Nobody will wait.
yeah, do that.
I could just get him to make that the first obstacle right off the bat, and then I'm okay.
the starting area.
Yeah, start, fight, go, and then I'm all right. So we'll be good.
Listen, I bet if you put a poll after this podcast on, I see what people think.
Yeah. I would like to see that. I'd like to see, and I guess this is a little bit what Hunter said this too. I'd like to see, top OCR people, have, not just wrestling matches, but, maybe different, a little more MMA style combat.
Pentathlon of that kind of is Spartan Games, but.
Yeah, but it's just wrong.
Yeah.
They're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I think you'd get some surprising results.
It would be good.
I would put some money on Austin for that one. I mean, he's carrying some good size.
Yeah, but he's such a nice guy. I don't even know.
I know.
They're all nice. Everybody's nice.
Except for Sean.
Okay, real question. Is Sean the Isaiah Vidal of Canada?
People that have never met Sean are going to have this like skewed opinion of him.
He is super nice. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think the most common word on an OCR course in Canada is sorry.
Oh,
like the most used.
It's
for sure.
Even in the States, we've gone everywhere, and I have yet to meet somebody who rubs me the wrong way in OCR. It just everybody's so into it and happy and supportive. And
so you're going to be filming some stuff on Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to do
both of you,
kind of like we did in Red Deer, but even better because we learned lessons.
Okay, I thought they were pretty good.
There was lessons that we learned, things we could have done better, things we did wrong. This one is going to be more difficult because it's a longer race spanned over a greater area, and because the hill presents a lot of issues, but we have some extra people helping us, so that's good too.
And the other good thing about the climb is once they start climbing, you have time to get to the next downhill or something. Like you may miss a bunch of people hiking for 10 minutes, but
probably the hardest part is the section across the top. Again, what we talked about, where the bucket carry and then the vertical cargo. So I'm going to have to run with whoever's in front for about 400 meters again, and that's as far as I run. So that'll be interesting.
So it'll be a good test.
Yeah,
it'll be a good warm up for you for the sprint.
I'm hoping it's Ryan, so I can taunt him and just
It'll be very interesting who's leading after the first climb, if that's the same person that's leading at the last climb. I don't know if it will be, unless it's Sean.
Yeah. I could see Sean coming out at the start there like that. I mean, it's straight climb.
But I don't know. On his Strava, 2 days ago, he did like a crazy run. I don't even know what he did, but looking at it, it's either he just can deal with a ton of volume. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. He'll be fine. Yeah.
Well, any last thoughts? Looking forward to Blue now, or?
I think just good luck to everyone, and have us like enjoy the mountain. Like it really is, when you think of a Spartan race, like it offers some really fun trails, some good climbing, some good tests, and yeah, just be there and enjoy it in spirit. I'll be jealous watching.
And my prediction for 2022, both you on the podium, 2022 at Blue, all the way. And I will be drunk in the après ski lounge.
Perfect.
Beth, wind us out.
Yeah, that's a great way to finish it. Thanks, Mik, so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing everybody this weekend at Blue Mountain.